Street Fighter II is a classic fighting game that was released in the 90s. It features a cast of unique characters, each with their own fighting style and special moves. Players select a character and fight their way through a series of opponents in order to become the ultimate champion. One of the reasons why Street Fighter II is considered one of the 7 intense fighting games of the 90s is because of its impact on the genre. It popularized the one-on-one fighting game format and inspired countless imitators. The game's mechanics are simple to learn but difficult to master, making it accessible to newcomers while still providing a challenge for experienced players. Another reason why Street Fighter II is so iconic is its memorable characters. From Ryu and Ken to Chun-Li and M. Bison, each fighter has a distinct personality and moveset that has endeared them to fans over the years. The game's colorful graphics and catchy music also contribute to its enduring appeal. Overall, Street Fighter II is a classic fighting game that remains popular to this day. Its impact on the genre cannot be overstated, and its memorable characters and accessible mechanics have made it a fan favorite for decades. Mortal Kombat is a classic fighting game that was first released in 1992. The game features a wide cast of characters, each with their own unique fighting styles and special moves. The objective of the game is to defeat your opponent in a one-on-one battle, using a combination of punches, kicks, and special moves. Mortal Kombat gained notoriety in the 90s due to its intense and graphic violence, including blood and gore. The game introduced the concept of fatalities, where the winning player could perform a finishing move that Mortal Kombat stood out from other fighting games of the time due to its realistic graphics, digitized character animations, and dark, gritty atmosphere. The game was also notable for its use of digitized sound effects and voice acting. Overall, Mortal Kombat is considered one of the 7 intense fighting games of the 90s due to its impact on the gaming industry and its continued popularity among gamers today. The game's unique combination of intense violence, realistic graphics, and memorable characters helped to define the fighting game genre and set the stage for future games in the series fighting game that was released in the 90s. It features a diverse cast of characters, each with their own unique fighting styles and moves. The game is known for its intense hand-to-hand combat, which requires quick reflexes and strategic thinking to win. Tekken quickly gained popularity among gamers due to its challenging gameplay and memorable characters, such as Tekken is considered one of the 7 intense fighting games of the 90s because it set a new standard for fighting games. The game's graphics and animations were impressive, and the combat was more complex and strategic than other games in the genre. It also introduced new gameplay mechanics, such as the ability to sidestep and dodge attacks, which added another layer of depth to the gameplay. Overall, Tekken is a must-play for anyone who loves intense fighting games and wants to experience a classic title from the 90s. Virtua Fighter is a classic fighting game that was released in the early 90s. It is one of the 7 intense fighting games of the 90s because it was one of the first fighting games to use 3D graphics, allowing for more realistic movements and animations. The game features a diverse cast of characters, each with their own unique fighting style and special moves. Players can choose to play in single-player mode or against each other in multiplayer mode. One of the key features of Virtua Fighter is its emphasis on strategy and timing. Unlike other fighting games that rely on button mashing, Virtua Fighter requires the game more challenging and rewarding attacks and movements as players must gain an advantage over and evolve their strategies in order to succeed. Overall, Virtua Fighter is a classic fighting game that paved the way for future games in the genre. Its emphasis on strategy and timing, combined with its innovative 3D graphics, make it a must-play for any fan of fighting games. Killer Instinct is a fighting video game that was released in the 90s. It is considered one of the 7 intense fighting games of that era because of its fast-paced gameplay. The game allows players to choose from a variety of characters, each with their own fighting style and special moves. The game also introduced the concept of combo breakers, which allowed players to interrupt their opponent's moves and gain an advantage. The graphics and sound effects were also considered cutting-edge at the time, making for an immersive and exciting gaming experience. Killer Instinct was a standout game in the fighting game genre and helped pave the way for future titles in the genre. Samurai Showdown is a classic arcade fighting game that was released in the 1990s. It's set in feudal Japan and features a wide range of characters, each with their own unique fighting styles and weapons. The game's mechanics are built around the idea of precision and timing, with players needing to carefully time their attacks and blocks to gain the upper hand, with a single well-placed blow being enough to take down an opponent. Samurai Showdown is considered one of the 7 intense fighting games of the 90s because of its deep gameplay mechanics, vibrant visuals, and memorable characters. It's a game that requires skill and strategy to master, with each character offering a unique challenge to players. The game's popularity has endured over the years, with multiple sequels and spin-offs being released in the decades since its initial classic arcade-style fighting games. Samurai Showdown remains a must-play title that showcases some of the best aspects of the genre. Stalkers is a video game from the 90s that features a cast of supernatural characters fighting against each other. The game is known for its fast-paced gameplay and flashy, over-the-top moves. It is considered one of the 7 intense fighting games of the 90s because it was one of the first games to introduce new mechanics such as air blocking and chain combo. These features gave the game a more strategic gameplay and made it stand out from other fighting games at the time. Additionally, the game's unique characters and art style, which were heavily influenced by horror and gothic themes, helped it to develop a cult following among gamers. Overall, Stalkers is a classic game that has left a lasting impact on the fighting game genre.